Fisher here with Senior Resource Connectors. Again, we're here in season two to introduce you and highlight some of our experts of our coalition. Um, 3 years ago, when we started the Senior Resource Connectors platform, our sincere hope was that the content and the partners that we have as a members of our coalition would be able to reach the adult kids who are really impacted by the challenges of our aging parents. And so some people have called us the sandwich generation. In our case, that's very true. When we launched this, our kids were still in high school, starting college, and yet both my wife and I have parents who are um, walking the walk. And so we're right in the middle of it. So for those of you that are watching this that might be in that same boat, this is for you. And this is why we're here. And today I'm going to feature a good friend of mine, Cheryl Frager from Busy Bees. And she's going to tell us all about the Busy Bees programs and the business and the resources that they provide to families who are right in the midst of this walk as well. So Cheryl, great to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about Busy Bee. Start there. And I know you come from a long background of working with families. I think you told me something like 40 something years. So pretty good for being somebody that's only 46 already, right? So 6 years
You're
old,
fine, Scott.
you started your lemonade stand and helping seniors. So what did you do?
Yeah, that's what we did. Okay, well, my background is in skilled nursing facilities, retirement communities, and assisted livings.
Mm,
So I ran a 330 bed continuum care retirement community back in the beginning 2000s. I saw a niche and I wanted to grab a hold of it. I saw that the adult children were having issues with placing their loved ones in communities.
right.
They were away out of state. And so saw the niche there to help them in facilitating a transition for a senior client. So we pretty much, what we would do is go and help them decide what to take. When we're downsizing, we sort, declutter, we pack them, the mover moves them, and then we unpack and set them up at their new location. So when I worked in the retirement community, we would set them up completely and their bed would be made, the pictures are on the walls, and everything's put away. And all they had to do was go to dinner.
I imagine when you take 3,500 square feet and squeeze it into 900, there's a little process that goes on in that, right?
Yes. What we do is we actually do floor plan design for the client. So we,
Okay.
we go there and we measure everything. And then I bring it back to my office. My husband actually helps me with doing a 3D design and drawing of their new place. Because you're trying to squeeze the 3,500 square feet into 300 to 700 square feet or
Right.
a little bit more. It just depends. And sometimes we have to have the hard talk with the client saying, oh, you can't bring the piano or the big buffet or the big dining room set because you get 3 square meals a day now. So
And
it's,
I imagine too that this becomes tender sometimes. This is the time that parents and their kids have to talk about photo albums, memorabilia, collectibles, right? What do the kids want that was important to the parents? I remember for years my mom collected precious moments and Hummels and stuff like that. And then there was a time that none of us wanted it. So then what? You know what I mean? So I imagine you probably have to deal with that.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
That's another part of our service as well. So the client wanted us to follow them all the way through the process, even after the transition. What do I do with my leftovers?
Hmm.
And we provide estate sale services or estate liquidation services. So we have a plethora of resources to help that client liquidate whatever family just don't want and what they can't take to their new place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
You ever feel like you're a social worker sometimes in the midst of all this?
all the time. All
I've,
the time. I'm
I've,
holding the hands, I'm crying on the shoulder with them. I'm just, we take care of everybody. So
I guess here's the point I'm getting at, Cheryl, is that there's the what do you want to say, the tasks of what you do. I can move, I can organize, I can sell this, I can do all this. There's a lot of people that that can perform a function. There's another, it's a different person that loves people, that cares for people, that's compassionate, patient while these processes are going on. Because I imagine it's not a one and done visit and then go, oh well, let me get rid of my Hummel collection I've been working on for 75 years. Oh, here's the family china that came from your grandmother in Italy that nobody wants, or they do want, or six of them want it. And so you've got to navigate a lot of family dynamics, maybe blended families, and then just the real grief that comes with, oh man, I'm in really in late in the fourth quarter of the last part of my life. I've got to let go of some stuff, and that letting go has some tenderness in it for sure. And that's why I said the comment about the social workers. Like I imagine it's, you see all aspects of family dynamics in play.
We do. We see all aspects. We try and work very closely with that client because ultimately it's their new home where they want to bring things. If they wanted to bring their entire Hummel collection. One client, actually a story that we have that was awesome. She had Balik. Balik china is very thin, and she had 5 curios of Balik china, and she wanted to bring them to her new retirement apartment. Now, her retirement apartment was about 1,000 square feet, so she can bring all of it. But to pack it all was, we had to we had to be very, very careful packing it. It was only moving a mile, but we were able to bring some of that. And then some of it she did get rid of. She did give to family members. She would give it as gifts for the
Right.
holidays
Right.
or birthdays. So, but we deal with all kinds of.
When you see that in a family, I always tell people the payoff for me is when I sit in front of a family and they're talking about having to do, you help with the downside, we help with the placement part of things. That's what my primary company's done all these years. And I was thinking about a friend of mine who was a professional colleague and friend, and his wife and he were really, they had placed mom in a situation that they thought was the forever. And because they didn't know what they didn't know, it wasn't the forever. And the facility was only licensed to a certain level of care, and mom couldn't stay. And now they had to do this again. And so there was a lot of tension, a lot of frustration, with anger that needed to be expressed. And on a Saturday morning, I sat in their kitchen for an hour and a half with them and just watched her relax and go, "You got it. You understand." Does something like, do you have a family in mind and you go, "Oh, they just went, oh yes," like you got it right. It's like
Yes.
it's the emotional payoff.
Right. It is very, very emotional for these families, and we do the best we can to help them through that process. And
Yeah,
that's why we have people like you that we can turn to.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're very grateful.
What happens to folks, when people are downsizing and they've got piles of stuff that's going with them, maybe stuff that's going out to the kids? What happens to stuff that isn't going anywhere? How do you, what's your processes for that, Cheryl?
Okay, well, basically we walk in, we assess to see what's needed. If it is an estate, in fact, an estate sale, it takes us a good 3 weeks to set up for one.
Okay.
We set the home up like a store, research, tag, and price everything, then open the doors to the public if we can have it there. Sometimes
Right there in their house. You just,
right there in their house. Their home is set up like a store. We keep the clients in the loop all the way through. A lot of our clients are the adult children, helping someone that has passed away or is, moved on to assisted living or skilled nursing.
mm-hmm.
And so I'll send videos to the client. This is how we keep the client up to date and in the loop on everything. We do, we do tell them, oh, if they have a reserve, they can reserve 5 items. If they think that something is worth a lot of money, we go ahead and utilize our resources for that. So we'll be taking pictures of like artwork and researching that, looking it up. And then if we feel that it is not worthy for an estate sale situation, we'll take it to auction.
Okay.
So we have a lot of different avenues.
Okay.
And then typically we run the sale for 2 to 3 days. And then typically right after the sale is over, we still could be selling things, but after the sale is over, we have a service that comes and does a clean out for us.
Okay.
So everything that's left over does get to the right people that need it the most.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So, in a sense, when a family is in that crosshairs of having to do something, you handle it all. It sounds like it's one stop for you from your end.
We're a
Yeah.
complete one-stop shop for them. That way they don't have to worry. We've dealt with a lot of clients that live out of state. Right now, we're dealing with one from New Hampshire.
Okay.
Uh, we dealt with one a couple years ago that lived in Oregon. I never met her, but we were working with her for a solid year because we were supposed to be going in and decluttering and organizing for the gentleman to come home, but instead he passed away. So we ended up doing an estate sale, and we were able to, we had a lot of cars in that sale. We had a lot of cool mid-century modern furniture. So I was writing her a large check.
Wow. You said something. We were at one of our coalition engagement meetings last week, and at the time we recorded this here, and you said one of these open houses, would you have 4,000, 5,000 people walk through that house over the time of the sale or something? That's nuts.
We are heavily followed. If we have some really cool things like that sale had video gaming equipment,
Hmm.
the person passed away and they left a plethora of like Funko Pop, which is popular right now. We had jewelry in the sale. We just had a lot of different items, pool table,
Hmm.
really cool, some really cool things. Patio furniture is very big selling right now.
Sure.
But so we again we walk around, we price everything, we research everything to make sure that client, my biggest goal is to get the client a check back.
So is the moving part of the stuff, do you sub that out? Do you have moving companies you work with? Do you have your own moving staff, or what goes on with all that?
We sub out the moving part if we're transitioning a client to assisted living or retirement.
Okay.
We do have a list of movers that we use pretty frequently
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, the moving industry is just an interesting thing. Some of our partners, and I featured some of them in previous episodes. That's an industry that's unregulated, unlicensed. I work in an unregulated, unlicensed world. You're certified, but not not licensed. So I think it's super important as we protect consumers that those of us
Yes,
that are in those spaces look to align with those who are members of their best practice groups, who carry the highest levels of certification for the industry, even though there's not a license for it. Certification
right.
is the next best step for the consumer to consider. So I always try to make that point for those of us that are in these spaces, Cheryl, that there's a lot of people that hang a sign on the wall and go, "Hey, I'm a placement specialist," and you go, "Really?" I imagine you see the same thing.
I
Where you,
we do.
yeah,
We are licensed and insured for the client's safety and ours.
okay,
I'm actually insured like a mover, even though I don't perform the tasks.
okay,
We let the guys do the heavy lifting.
yeah,
But I felt I wanted the clients to have the best. Um, we're like the best practices for busy bees is to cross every T and dot every I and make sure that we have it. There's nothing that's left unturned.
right. And when you hook up with um, a separate moving company, just
Yes,
those guys being insured in parts of their groups, super super important to have that seamless sense of protection for families. And I don't need to tell you, but I just is to our audience, I just want you guys to know that unfortunately there's so many verticals of businesses that perform services for families in this aging space. Care management, placement, home care, move management, that are not licensed, or they're licensed in certain states, but not in all states. And so we continuously shine the light, Cheryl, on those spaces and those trade associations, so that families can research and feel like they're getting the best protection when they're making a selection for these kinds of vulnerable services. Is there a national certification or program or organization that you belong to that families should know about or they can check out?
Right. I belong to the National Association of Professional Organizers.
Okay.
I did belong to the National Association for Senior Move Managers, and I was a senior certified move manager. So my certification is coming up to be renewed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well, even though I've been doing this for 40 years.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says we have to, right? I carry a certification that maybe a couple hundred agents in the world carry. It's called I'm a certified placement and referral specialist under the National Placement Referral Alliance. There is nobody that's asking me for that cert. There's nobody that's checking. But I'm happy to tell them my agents and I have taken that test and we carry that benchmark certification because it's for us and it's for them to know that we're dedicated to our craft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much why I did it.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been I feel like it's been really really helpful and I think it's shed a lot of light on the whole process. And I know that you bring a lot of rescue to families and I am grateful to have your friendship and partnership at SRC. Been great to get to know you over the last couple of years and I just want to thank you for joining us today. For those of you that are watching, Cheryl's information will be highlighted here. You'll be able to reach out, talk to her, email her, get get your questions answered. I know for cost situations, we didn't get into all that, but it's so individual, so personal. It really takes a one-on-one conversation about the kinds of costs and the various services that are provided. Would you say it that way? That it just
Yes.
a phone call will handle all that. So again, Cheryl, thank you for joining us. Thank you, audience, for being with us. My name is Scott Fisher, Senior Resource Connectors. We are grateful that you've joined us today, Cheryl. Thanks again. Take care,
Thank you very much
and
for having me.
we'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you.
Okay.